68 teams, 68 teams, one dream to cut down the nets in Indianapolis, Indiana, 22 nights from now, to crown themselves the national champions of college basketball. We are in the month of March, and that only means one thing: let the madness begin. Hey there, welcome everybody to the 2026 TXN Sports World Selection Sunday Special. I am your host, Anthony Florio, and I am joined, as always, by good old MF, Michael Fletcher. Yeah, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and Michael Bullock. And yeah, the field was announced earlier tonight, and all I can say is the madness is here, guys. 68 teams. Um, we got a lot to get into here tonight, and not much more to say, gentlemen, except it's time to dive on in to our first region, which is the East region. And the East region, of course, we started off, and we're starting it with the East and its corporate champion, AT&T. And let's start it off. But before we do that, now that I just bear with me for a moment. I got a lot of things to look over here, make sure we have all the correct information for you all. So, all right. So, the tournament starts on Tuesday night, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And Wednesday, March 18th, we will have first four games from the University of Dayton Arena in Dayton, Ohio. And then from there, we will have first and second round tournament games to be played on Thursday and Sunday from the KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York, home of the hottest team in the NHL right now, without question, the Buffalo Sabres. The Bon Secours Wellness Arena, Greenville, South Carolina. The Paycom Center, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. And then first and second round games to be played on Friday and Sunday will emanate from the Benchmark International Arena in Tampa, Florida, the Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Viejas Arena in San Diego, California, and the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri. And then from there, we move on to the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. South and West regionals will take place on Thursday, March 26th and Saturday, March 28th. South Regional will take place from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, home of the NBA's Houston Rockets. The West Regional will emanate from the SAP Center, the Shark Tank, in San Jose, California, home of the San Jose Sharks. And then the Midwest and East Regional Finals will take place on Friday, March 27th and Sunday, March 29th. Midwest Regional from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, the home of the Chicago Bulls of the NBA and the NHL Chicago Blackhawks, of course. And the East Regional will emanate from the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., home of the Washington Capitals and of the NHL and the Washington Wizards of the NBA. And it all leads to Saturday night, April 4th, and Monday night, April 6th, for the Final Four to emanate from the home of the Indianapolis Colts of the NFL, Lucas Oil Stadium, for the ninth time in the history of the tournament. The last time they did it, 2021, during the COVID-19 pandemic. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let the madness begin. And we are going to start it off, as promised, with the East region. because the East region houses the number one overall seed in this tournament. And it's to the surprise of none of us. It will be the Duke Blue Devils, the champions of the regular season and ACC tournament, coming off of an incredible game, an instant classic against the Virginia Cavaliers last night in Charlotte. And they're going to square off against the number 16 seed, Siena. And by the way, these will be Thursday and Saturday games from Greenville, South Carolina. Duke versus Siena, 116. The number 8 seed in the East, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And they're going to square off against the number 9 seed, the Horned Frogs of TCU. The number 5 seed, the St. John's Red Storm. Big East tournament champions, absolute dominance of UConn from start to finish in that championship game last night. Very surprising that they ended up on this line. I thought they would have been 4, maybe even 3, but putting them at the 5 line, that's a choice. The dreaded 12-5, and they're going to square off against the number 12 seed, Northern Iowa. And these are going to be Friday, Sunday games in San Diego, California. St. John's will be squaring off against the number 12 seed, Northern Iowa. And Northern Iowa, we all remember 10 years ago, that legendary half-court buzzer beater against Texas. What do they have for an encore? The number 4 seed, the Kansas Jayhawks, 36 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. And they will square off against the number 13 seed and first-timer, California Baptist. California Baptist, the champions of the WAC tournament. A very thrilling game late last night during the overnight hours. What a game they played against Utah Valley, winning that tournament. And then we move to the lower half of the bracket. These will be Thursday and Saturday games in Buffalo. Starting with the number 6 seed in the East, the Louisville Cardinals out of the ACC. They will square off against the number 11 seed, South Florida Bulls. South Florida winning the American Conference Tournament earlier today. A victory over Wichita State in that final. The number 3 seed, the Michigan State Spartans. Coach Tom Izzo taking his team to the NCAA tournament for the 28th consecutive season. What a run for Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans. They're the 3 seed. They're going to square off against the number 14 seed, North Dakota State. And then from there, I believe these are Friday, Sunday games from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We have the number 7 seed, UCLA Bruins out of the Big Ten, and they're going to square off against the number 10 seed, the Knights of UCF, University of Central Florida. And then from there, the number 2 seed in the East, the UConn Huskies out of the Big East, led by their coach Dan Hurley. He took them to those back-to-back national championships in 2023 and 2024. They look to start a quest for another national championship, and they're going to do so against the number 15 seed, Furman. So that is your East bracket. So we do have the start times here. The game between Siena and Duke. Well, we'll get into that in just a moment, but we have the bracket here for the East region, and taking a look at it, definitely a tough road for Duke here. I think they can get out of that first weekend. I mean, they shouldn't have any trouble with Siena. They'll probably get tested by whoever comes out of Ohio State and TCU. But if they should make it to the Sweet 16, oh boy, they could have either St. John's or Kansas waiting for them. And we know the history of Kansas and Duke. MF knows that history better than anybody. Kansas and Duke are legendary battles, including for the national championship in 1991 in Indianapolis. So there is history there. Or could it be St. John's? I mean, Rick Pitino, no stranger to Duke. I mean, he's got history with Duke. What many people still call to this day, the greatest tournament game ever played, when Duke and Kentucky had that legendary battle at the old Spectrum in Philadelphia in 1992 in that East Regional Final. And Pitino going to Louisville, I mean, had some wars against Duke there. And what can you say about Duke? I mean, John Shire, definitely, I believe this is his best coaching job, his personal best coaching job since he succeeded the legendary Mike Krzyzewski, picking up right where Coach K left off. But can he finally get this team over the hump? This could be their best chance to do so, especially when you have that two-headed monster known as the Boozer twins, Cameron and Caden Boozer, the sons of a Duke legend in his own right, Carlos Boozer. And then looking down, Louisville going up against South Florida. That's a tricky game. I mean, I could see South Florida pulling an upset here. I liked what I saw out of South Florida in that American Championship game this afternoon. But of course, Michigan State, we all know the history. Tom Izzo, what he has done with that team, taking them to a national championship in the year 2000, got them to the final in 2009 before losing to North Carolina. They got a scrappy team of their own against North Dakota State. That could be a tougher game than you think. And how about at the bottom half in Philly, UCLA, a possible UCLA UConn matchup? Two of the most elite programs in the history of college basketball, multi-time national champions. UCLA with 11 national championships. First time they're in the tournament representing the Big Ten Conference all those years in the Pac-12 and Pac-10. And UConn with the Big East there. Dan Hurley, say what you want about him. I know he's got a reputation for being a hothead, and he's got some haters, including someone on this panel. But hey, you can't argue with success. And he led them to those back-to-back championships in 23 and 24, both of which two of the most dominant championship runs you will ever see in the tournament. And they are going to be a tough out, no question about it, even though they did get smacked around by St. John's last night in the Big East Championship. They get out of that first weekend. How about a possible Michigan State UConn matchup? I mean, now that would be some cinema as well. Michigan State and UConn, to another round of successful programs. I mean, that could be something else. But you can make an argument. This might be the bracket of death right here. I mean, I know in many people's eyes, Duke is the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. But they're going to have a tough road. I mean, I could see them getting out of that first weekend, but St. John's, if they run into St. John's or Kansas, that's going to be a tough out. I could see them beating Kansas if it comes down to it, but if it's St. John's, that is going to be a dogfight. Tell you that. Michigan State, that's another team you don't want to see. Tom Izzo, like I said, we know his history. The incredible success he's had. I know he only has one title to his credit, but Michigan State has always been a pesky out every single year. And UConn, of course. Could you imagine if we get Duke and UConn in the regional final? Oh, we know their wars. Oh, do we know their wars? Including the national championship in 1999 when UConn knocked off Duke. So we shall see how that plays out. But a very interesting bracket, to say the very least. Duke is the favorite, but they're not an overwhelming favorite. Because, like I said, you got I mean, their four biggest threats are UConn, Michigan State, Kansas, and St. John's. But out of those four, with all due respect, I think UConn is the biggest threat. So those are my thoughts on the East bracket. So not much more. I'm gonna bring in now the voice, our voice of March Madness. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. MF, you saw Duke. That was a championship game for the ages, a heavyweight title fight with Virginia last night. That was incredible. Great call as always. And Screaming Michael Fletcher is going to be out in full force. This is his time of the year here. And, well, MF, I mean, you messaged me earlier in our messenger chat. You said that this is a very tough road for Duke. And was I correct in calling this possibly the bracket of death here?
This is the bracket of death. Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind this was the bracket of death. And the selection committee really stuck it to the Duke Blue Devils on this one. They were not impressed with anything and gave them, to me, the worst bracket you can give them. This road to the Final Four just to get out of this bracket is rough. And it absolutely starts in the second round. You know, yes, you get Siena, but then you get either TCU or Ohio State, and that's a problem. So this could be rough. And a lot of people felt like Duke could be the most vulnerable number one seed going into the tournament. And I agree with that. I don't know if Duke gets out of it. I kind of felt like going into it that they were the odds-on favorite. I think those odds are dropping bad now because of this bracket. So I think a lot of odds makers are scurrying away from Duke. Because they don't think they're gonna make it. They don't think they're gonna get out of here unscathed. So we're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. But yeah, once you get into the first round, then you got Ohio State TCU. Then you get possibly the winner of St. John's. You get St. John's or Kansas because a lot of people don't think Northern Iowa or Cal Baptist is getting through. And then the lower half of the bracket, you got, and just think about this. You got Louisville, Michigan State, UCLA, UCF, or UConn on the bottom half. That is devastating if you're the Duke Blue Devils. This is not an easy bracket at all. And like you said, Anthony, this is the bracket of death. This is the region of doom, is what I'll call it. That's the name we'll use from now on. This is the region of doom. You did not want to be here, and unfortunately for Duke, you're in it now. So we'll see how this plays out. I still got Duke coming out because I think their play is good enough that they can overcome this, but I would not be shocked if they get knocked out at some point in this tournament, because this bracket is, like I said, the committee did not do Duke any favors with this bracket. And if you're a Duke Blue Devil fan, you're furious right now with the committee because they absolutely, positively did you guys dirty on this one. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
And I'm sure as a Duke fan, Fletch, you're probably like, what the F did you do to us? What did we do to piss you guys off? I mean,
oh yeah. When I saw this bracket at 6:00, I was like, what the hell is this shit? Oh yeah, I was like, furious. Florio knows Florio knows how I felt because like he said, the messenger chat.
Yeah, oh yeah, I still think Duke is going to come out of this. But the thing is, it is not going to be an easy path for them. Because, I mean, look, I mean, there's a chance you might have to deal with Kansas or maybe St. John's. Yeah, the road to Indianapolis is going to be a rough one for them. Yeah, they're going to easily handle Siena and maybe whether it's Ohio State or TCU, but you get to the Sweet 16, you get Kansas or St. John's. That's not good. And then if you get UConn in the Elite Eight to get for the trip to the Final Four, oh boy. I mean, yeah. I mean, you guys know my record with Dan Hurley. I mean, I said he's a hothead, and with some inflammatory remarks he made that really rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, but you cannot deny with what he's done for UConn, and who knows that to me is the team Duke's got to keep an eye on, because if they get UConn, it could be a very, very tough matchup for them. And yeah, I mean, as far as some potential upsets I could see out of this region, I think the only one that comes to my mind, I would say, like Florio mentioned, maybe South Florida could pull off an upset of Louisville. I mean, I could see that happening, but because the thing is, guys, the upsets that always seem to happen come from the 6-11 matchups.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see this happening here. I mean, that's the only upset I could see going down when it comes to the East region. But then again, you never know, because it is March Madness, folks. So yeah, I really got nothing more to say. Florio, I think the South region is next.
Let me check my notes here.
No, it would go west.
West.
All right,
Yes.
so it's the
West
West
region.
region.
We're gonna go to the West
Yeah,
region
it's west.
next.
Mm-hmm.
Sponsored by their corporate champion, Capital One. What's in your wallet? So here is the West bracket. Just gotta pull it up here. West, West, West. Okay. West region. And we're gonna start with Thursday and Saturday games to be played in San Diego, California. And we're going to start it off with the number 1 seed in the West region, the Arizona Wildcats. They won the regular season and Big 12 tournament championships under their coach, Tommy Lloyd. They started the year 23-0 and at one time was a unanimous number 1 in the poll. So Arizona is the number 1 seed, and they're going to square off against the number 16 seed, LIU. And then the number 8 seed in the West, the Villanova Wildcats, representing the Big East. And they're going to square off against the number 9 seed, Aggies of Utah State. Moving down, these are... Now, the information has not been, completely up to date yet. So I do have to find the locations for some of these games. I remembered most of them. So, all right. These next games are going to be, let's see, that's the West. My apologies, folks. Just trying to get the information for you. Wisconsin. Okay, these are going to be Thursday, Saturday games in Portland, Oregon. We're going to start it off with the number 5 seed, the Wisconsin Badgers, representing the Big Ten. They are going to square off against the number 12 seed, High Point. And then from there, we're going to see the number 4 seed, Arkansas Razorbacks. The SEC tournament champions. They won the SEC tournament this afternoon with a victory over Vanderbilt in the final. They're led by the legendary John Calipari. John Calipari, of course, taking Kentucky to a national championship in 2012 and nearly took Memphis to the national championship in 2008. Of course, he also took UMass to the tournament all those years ago, and now he's doing it with Arkansas here, adding to his legend. Arkansas, the 4 seed, they're going to square off against the number 13 seed, Hawaii. The Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. They'll be the 13 seed. Moving down in the West bracket here. These are going to be let me see where the schematics take us here. I want to say these are also in, actually, I don't think it's in Portland. I think it's in, it might be, I don't know, but, because they did me dirty here. I don't have all these schematics yet. It takes time for them to update the information here, because it was only a few hours ago for the selection show. So, I apologize for not knowing where these games are, but we're gonna have them anyway. The number 6 seed in the West region is the Cougars of BYU, representing the Big 12, and they're gonna face the winner of a play-in game, and a very intriguing play-in game, to say the very least, for the 11 seed, the Texas Longhorns versus the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Texas out of the Big 12, Texas is out of the SEC, NC State out of the ACC. And then it'll be the number 3 seed, Gonzaga Bulldogs, Mark Few, taking his team to the tournament for the 26th consecutive year. The only one who's done it more, Tom Izzo. Another tournament veteran. They're going to square off against the number 14 seed, Kennesaw State. And then after that, we will have these final games. The bottom half of this bracket will be, these are going to be Friday, Sunday games in St. Louis, Missouri. Starting with the number 7 seed, Miami Hurricanes. The Miami Hurricanes out of the ACC, they're going to square off against the number 10 seed, Missouri Tigers. Very intriguing 10-7 matchup there. Missouri out of the SEC. The number 2 seed in the West, the Purdue Boilermakers, the winners of the Big Ten tournament. Yes, Purdue pulled the upset. They upset the top-seeded Michigan Wolverines to win the Big Ten championship this afternoon in Chicago. And they're going to face another first-timer in this NCAA tournament, the number 15 seed, Royals of Queens. They're based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and Queens making their first ever tournament appearance. They're going to go up against the 2 seed Purdue. That is your West bracket. So, MF, West bracket, what stands out to you?
This is a very easy bracket for Arizona. I would not be stunned, or I would not be surprised if Arizona comes out of this bracket and goes to the Final Four. I'm just calling it right now. I think the one team that maybe could trip them up would be Gonzaga, but even then, I just don't see it. Arizona could possibly play either Villanova or Utah State. I got them playing Villanova. Then you on that in that middle part where you got Wisconsin and Arkansas. That could be an interesting matchup, y'all. That could be very interesting. But Gonzaga is the team on the bottom half. I'm keeping my eye on. Yes, you got Purdue, who won the Big Ten, and they might be a problem, but I don't see Gonzaga losing to Purdue. I actually got Gonzaga knocking out Purdue once we get to the Sweet 16, and then I think Arizona should have no problem getting to the Final Four in my bracket. So I got Arizona winning this region and winning this pretty comfortably. Arizona's been the best team other than maybe Duke and maybe Michigan, and we'll get into Michigan a little bit later on, I think Arizona has been the most complete team in the NCAA tournament going in. What they've been doing all year long has been absolutely phenomenal. And so I got Arizona coming out of this. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I take a look at this West as well, and yeah, Arizona. I think they could definitely. I definitely see them coming out of the West region and going to the Final Four. I mean, Gonzaga is one team that I would worry about because let's not forget, guys. Let's not forget that. Gonzaga has had a history of hanging in with some of these big teams, and Arizona could definitely. Gonzaga could give Arizona fits. I mean, it could come down to maybe Purdue and Gonzaga, but I see Gonzaga going out. So yeah, Gonzaga, I think could give them fits, and yeah, and for the yeah, and then of course, like I said, Arkansas. That's another team to keep an eye on, and Wisconsin and High Point. Who knows? I think maybe that could be the potential for maybe an upset in this region, but I think no matter what upsets we get, I think basically Arizona is going to come out of this. Because they've been the best team. And I see them basically coming out of this region. So it is yours, Florio. What are your thoughts on the West region?
Looks like it's Arizona's to lose. Looking back at looking at this bracket here, you guys pretty much made all the points that needed to be made. So as far as this bracket goes, I definitely like Arizona over LIU, Villanova over Utah State. We'll do we'll do the formalities in just a little bit. We'll run down the brackets, give a quick thought, and then we'll give our predictions, and we'll go from there. So, but yeah, Arizona definitely the team to beat here. I do believe there could be potential for a 12-5 here. You can't have an NCAA tournament without at least one 12-5 upset. Ain't that right, MF? You know that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know that. And
Yep.
normally I'm always sniffing for the 12-5, but
Who am
unfortunately,
I?
yeah,
I can see one.
I don't, up to this point, I don't see it on this side.
Maybe not, but I definitely see. For me, I could see one, possibly two, and I'll let you know when we do the formal picks in just a little bit. But yeah, Arkansas is a team to keep an eye on. Especially after they won the SEC. This is another one of the personal best coaching jobs of John Calipari. I love what he's done with them with this team here. Our first playing game, Texas and NC State. That could go either way. I really don't know who to pick in that one. That literally is a pick 'em. Gonzaga, tournament veteran, tournament tested. They had a couple of shots at the national championship, 2017 against North Carolina, losing that one. And of course, that unbelievable team they had in 2021 when they were the number one overall seed. They were undefeated, made it to the championship game, getting there again in a game that people are also calling the greatest tournament game of all time, that legendary Final Four game against UCLA. A screaming Michael Fletcher moment in that one, as we all know. That legendary half-court buzzer beater by Jalen Suggs. And another team to watch out for is Purdue. Especially after what they did to Michigan today to win the Big Ten championship. They definitely deserve to be where they are. Absolutely incredible job by Matt Painter and company. So, yeah, Arizona's the team to beat in this bracket, yes. But if any team, but I see 3 teams that could trip them up: Purdue, Gonzaga, Arkansas. Those are the 3 teams you got to watch out for Arizona. But I do believe Arizona, from top to bottom, is the best team in this bracket. So, but we'll get to the formal picks in just a little bit. Coming up next, we are going to head down to the Midwest bracket and their corporate champion, MF's favorite, Coca-Cola. So let's go down to the Midwest bracket. Starting it off with the number 1 seed in the Midwest, the Michigan Wolverines, led by their coach, Dusty May. Dusty May taking Michigan. He led them to the regular season Big Ten championship. They, however, did not win the tournament championship as they got embarrassed today by Purdue. So, regular season Big Ten champs. And they're going to square off against the 16 seed play-in winner between UMBC and Howard. I'm already going on the record. UMBC is going to defeat Howard in that play-in game. And if that happens, look at this. 2018, anyone? Remember 2018?
Don't remind me of
Yeah.
that, Florio, because I'm going to tell a story of this, because I had Virginia literally not just beating UMBC, but I had them winning the whole damn thing in a bracket pool that I was with my father's work company back then.
I think we all did. I mean, I know I did.
And as soon as Virginia lost that, I was like, my bracket's officially busted this early.
Almost everybody's was.
Yeah, almost 90% of the country lost their bracket after that upset happened. Practically 90% of the country lost their bracket.
If you're Michigan, you don't want to see UMBC. You don't. I'm just saying it right now.
Yeah, you better hope it's Howard, because if you get UMBC, could we see deja vu all over again?
It's not an easy one. I can definitely agree with that one.
UMBC embarrassed Virginia, became the first 16 seed to ever defeat a number 1 seed in the men's NCAA tournament. It had only been done once before on the women's side, 1998, Harvard upsetting Stanford. So we'll see what happens with that. These, by the way, these are Thursday, Saturday games in Buffalo, New York. We're talking Buffalo here. So we have Michigan as the number 1 seed. They'll meet either UMBC or Howard the 16. They have a play-in game this week. The number 8 seed in the Midwest, the Made in Georgia Bulldogs out of the SEC. And they're going to square off against the number 9 seed, the Billikens of St. Louis out of the Atlantic 10. They won the regular season Atlantic 10. They did not win the tournament. They lost in the semifinals yesterday to Dayton. So we'll see what happens there. And then from there, we will move on to these are going to now be Friday, Sunday games, I do believe. Yes, Friday, Sunday games in Tampa, Florida. We start with the number 5 seed in the Midwest, the Texas Tech Red Raiders. And they're going to square off against the number 12 seed, Zips of Akron. Became the first team in history to win 3 consecutive MAC Conference Tournament championships. They won the MAC Conference last night in Cleveland. So Akron, the 12 against the number 5, Texas Tech. The number 4 seed in the Midwest, the Alabama Crimson Tide out of the SEC. And they're going to square off against the number 13 seed, Pride of Hofstra. Hofstra, the number 13 seed. Number 6 seed in the Midwest, the Tennessee Volunteers, led by their legendary coach, Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes is going to be making his 30th tournament appearance. How about that? Give it up for that legend. Rick Barnes taking Tennessee, and These are Friday, Sunday games in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia, as MF would say. Tennessee is the 6th seed, and they're going to get the winner of the play-in game for the 11th seed between the Mustangs of SMU and the team that has been the subject of many conversations over the last few days. They made it, if you're wondering. Yes, despite the embarrassing loss to UMass in the first round of the MAC conference tournament on Thursday, they still made it. The Red Hawks of Miami of Ohio, their first loss of the season. They are in, but they have to play a play-in game. They got to get past SMU in order to get to the big dance in Philadelphia against Tennessee. The number 3 seed in the Midwest, the Virginia Cavaliers, led by their coach Ryan Odom, made it all the way to the ACC tournament final. That incredible 5-star classic against Duke last night came up just a little bit short. But Virginia, they are the number 3 seed in the Midwest. And they're going to square off against the number 14 seed, Wright State, out of the Horizon League. The number 7 seed in the Midwest. And by the way, these are going to be games. These games will be taking place Friday, Sunday games in St. Louis, Missouri. And gentlemen, what is an NCAA tournament without the Kentucky Wildcats? Well, they're going dancing one more time. The number 7 seed in the Midwest, it is indeed the Kentucky Wildcats. And they're going to square off against the number 10 seed, Santa Clara, out of the West Coast Conference. The number 2 seed in the Midwest, the Iowa State Cyclones, representing the Big 12. They went to the Big 12 semifinals where they got their hearts ripped out by Arizona. That was a 5-star classic of a game. I believe that was on Friday night. What an incredible game that was in Kansas City. But Iowa State, the number 2 seed, a fantastic season for them. And they will square off with the number 15 seed, Tennessee State. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your Midwest bracket. Michael Bullock, let's bring you on in. Your first thoughts about the Midwest bracket. How does this look to you?
Yeah, I've taken a look at this the Midwest, and all I can say is, I could see Michigan basically coming out of this, but again, like we just said moments ago, if they get UMBC in the first round, I might be worried because of when they did this to Virginia. I mean, could history repeat itself? I mean, it's possible if it is UMBC. If they get Howard, then I think they may not have to worry about it. But here's the thing: why I also worry, not just with UMBC, because of how they played today against Purdue. That was a little concerning there. So I don't know. I mean, I could see Michigan coming out of this, but either way, it's not going to be an easy feat. Now, as far as upsets, I could also see. I mean, if I could see Akron basically pulling off the upset over Texas Tech. I mean, Akron could give Texas Tech fits, and basically, and here's another thing when it comes out of that. We also, not just 6-11 upsets, but also 12-5 upsets we get sometimes in these tournaments. So Alabama and Hofstra, I mean, who knows? Maybe that's got a potential maybe for another upset. But, I mean, that's something I could see too, even though I do think Alabama could win that game. But either way, I mean, Michigan, I mean, if they get past UMBC, they still got to deal with Iowa State and Virginia. So we'll see what happens with that. And, of course, the big story, Miami of Ohio gets in. I mean, so many people were talking about going into this. Should they get in because of their record? Because the thing is, what did we talk about, Fletch, when it comes to the debate of should they get in or should they not get in? What is it? It was basically the
there was
schedule.
strength of schedule, the level of the play that they were playing up against. And there was some people that were claiming, well, they don't deserve it because they were in some tight window games that they needed either overtime or they weren't convincing victories. And a lot of people felt like they should have been left out. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and the bubble teams that got their bubbles burst, they could probably make the case and say, hey, yeah, they got a good record, but the strength of schedule and how all their games were
The
close,
body of work was not convincing, and the body of work
also and losing to UMass in that conference tournament game. The four teams that were left out, they're probably pissed off and like, wait a minute. I mean, all their games were not that convincing, and losing to a team with a losing record in their tournament match, and you're putting them in there.
Yeah.
They're probably crying foul on this.
But again, I think you even said you shouldn't punish them for only that one loss. You have to account for everything that went down, and you were one of the few proponents that was like that they deserve to be in the tournament. So you got what you wanted. They're in, but they're in the first four.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They're in the first four.
And from the rumors that I've been hearing, they were the actual last team in.
They were the 68th team. Yep. They were the 68th team.
They just got in there by literally the hair of their chinny chin. So, yeah, I mean, there's some debate about this, but again, I mean, they had to play the hand that they were dealt with, and Florio even talked about this. They wanted some tougher opponents, but they basically said, like, I mean, they were like told no on it, so they had to play the hand that they were dealt. So yes, they got in, but I mean, but there are some subtractors. I mean, especially those four that got left out. They're probably crying foul and like that one of those teams should have gotten in, and Miami didn't deserve it. But whatever the case may be, they're in, but only by that much. So yeah, so I got Michigan coming out of it, but I'm telling you this right now, guys, it's not going to be easy, especially if their first round opponent ends up being UMBC, because we know the history. And even if they do get out of that, somewhere down the line, they would have to deal with either Iowa State or Virginia. So nothing else to say, Florio. I mean, everybody's talking about Miami of Ohio. Should they get in? Should they not? They're in. But for Michigan, even if they somehow do get out of the first round, I still think the rest of the way is going to be a tough one for them.
Absolutely. I mean, looking at this Midwest bracket, I mean, on paper, Michigan is the favorite. Michigan, no question about it, is the favorite to come out of this bracket for sure. If it's UMBC, like we said, they cannot take UMBC lightly. UMBC, as I mentioned, they upset Virginia, who was the #1 overall seed in that 2018 tournament, and upset that none of us saw coming. They not only won that game, they embarrassed them. Absolutely embarrassed them. And then Virginia, of course, 1 year later, they got the ultimate redemption. They went on to win the national championship the following year, 2019. Greatest redemption story in tournament history. And then from there, watch out for St. Louis, guys. I mean, I liked what I saw from St. Louis this season. St. Louis played very well in the Atlantic 10. And They may not have won the Atlantic 10 tournament, but let me tell you, St. Louis, that's a tough out right there. If Michigan goes up against them, they're going to have problems. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think St. Louis can give Michigan major fits if it should end up being those two in the second round. And then there's 12-5 upset. There's a potential 12-5 right there with Akron and Texas Tech. Hofstra could even surprise against Alabama. We'll see how that plays out. Miami of Ohio, that was the big talking point. That was the big question going into this tournament. Were they going to make it despite losing, despite that embarrassing loss to UMass in the first round of the MAC tournament on Thursday? Question was answered. The good news is, yes, they made it, but the bad news is they got to prove themselves. They got to do a play-in game. They got to go up against SMU in a first 4 game on Tuesday night. So we'll see how that goes down. I think they'll get by it. I can see them winning that game against SMU, and if that's the case, there's a potential for them to upset Tennessee. I don't like Tennessee's chances if it's Miami of Ohio. If it's SMU, I could definitely see Tennessee winning. But if it's Miami of Ohio, Tennessee's in trouble. I'm going to tell you right now, Tennessee is in trouble if they lose. If it's Miami of Ohio, I'm just going to leave it out there. Virginia, that's going to be a tough out, especially after how well they played in the ACC tournament. They took Duke to the absolute limit last night, and that is going to be a tough out. Kentucky, legendary program. You can't have an NCAA tournament without the Kentucky Wildcats, and it may not have been one of their traditional dominant years like they've had so many years, but I mean, there is potential for an upset there. Santa Clara could trip them up. I don't know. We'll see. And Iowa State, they were one of the early darlings of this college basketball season. They got off to a very good start, a very hot start, and I mean, they took Arizona to the limit the other night in that Big 12 semifinal before Arizona escaped with that buzzer beater. So Iowa State, that's going to be a tough out as well. So the favorite is Michigan, but some teams to watch for: St. Louis, Miami of Ohio, if they get out of that play-in game, Virginia, Iowa State. Those are the teams to watch for in the Midwest. And our final bracket, brought to you by all 3 corporate champions. It will be the South region, and here it is. There were some questions about who would get the final number one seed, the final number 1 seed. The 3 that we all expected, they all got it. That was Duke, that was Arizona, that was Michigan. No, they were all locks. The question was, who was going to get that final spot? Well, here's your answer. The reigning, defending, undisputed national champions, the Florida Gators, claim the final number 1 seed. These are going to be Thursday, Saturday games in Tampa, Florida. The Florida Gators are the number 1 seed, and they're going to square off against the winner of a play-in game for the 16th seed, Prairie View A&M and Lehigh. Prairie View A&M and Lehigh to battle for the right to go up against Florida. Intriguing 8-9 matchup here. MF, how about a little Big Ten ACC action in the 8-9 game here? The number 8 seed, Clemson Tigers, out of the ACC, going up against the number 9 seed, Iowa Hawkeyes, out of the Big Ten. Big Ten ACC action. That's an MF special right there. Next up, we will then get into, I want to say these are Friday, Sunday games, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken. Or actually, I think these are Thursday, Saturday games once again. Yeah, these are Thursday, Saturday games in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. The number 5 seed, Vanderbilt Commodores, out of the SEC. They made it to the SEC tournament final, only to lose to Arkansas. By the way, Florida was the regular season SEC champ. Forgot to mention that. Number 5 seed, Vanderbilt Commodores, going up against the 12 seed, McNeese. McNeese will square off against Vandy in a 12-5er. The number 4 seed, what a story this team is. The Nebraska Cornhuskers, out of the Big Ten. And They're going to square off against the number 13 seed Trojans of Troy, representing the Sun Belt. They won the Sun Belt tournament. I asked earlier what an NCAA tournament would be without the Kentucky Wildcats. Well, the number 6 seed in the South region, what's an NCAA tournament without the North Carolina Tar Heels? The North Carolina Tar Heels, and by the way, these are Thursday, Saturday games in Greenville, South Carolina. The number 6 seed is the North Carolina Tar Heels. They're going to square off against the number 11 seed Rams of Virginia Commonwealth, the winners of the Atlantic 10 tournament. They won the A10 tournament. They knocked off Dayton to win the championship this afternoon in Pittsburgh. That is a tough draw for North Carolina. I'll tell you that right now. Number 3 seed, the Illinois Fighting Illini out of the Big Ten, and they're going to square off against the number 14 seed Pennsylvania Quakers out of the Ivy League, coached by Fran McCaffrey. Fran McCaffrey is taking his 5th different school to the NCAA tournament. It was Lehigh, then it was UNC Greensboro, then it was Siena, then it was Iowa, and now Fran McCaffrey is taking Penn to the NCAA tournament. They won the Ivy League. What an incredible game that Ivy League championship was this afternoon. That thriller against Yale, led by their star player, TJ Power, who put up 44 points in that championship game, including including a three-pointer with seconds left to force the game to overtime, where Pennsylvania eventually went on to defeat Yale to win the Ivy League championship. Penn will go up against Illinois. And then from there, the final half of this bracket, I do believe these are going to be Friday, Sunday games. Or I think these are also Thursdays. I think these are also Thursday, Saturday games here. I believe these will be in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. The number 7 seed is St. Mary's, and they're going to square off against the number 10 seed Texas A&M Aggies. And last but not least, the number 2 seed in the South, the national runners-up of a year ago, the Houston Cougars, led by their coach Kelvin Sampson, losing in the Big 12 championship game last night to Arizona. And then Houston will meet the number 15 seed Idaho. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your South Regional. Looking at the South region, this could be anybody's bracket here. I mean, Florida and Houston, I believe, are the 2 favorites to come out of this bracket. But if there are some other teams to keep a watchful eye out for, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt made it all the way to the SEC finals, the SEC tournament final. They knocked off Florida. They smacked Florida around in that semifinal yesterday. They really did. So Vandy is a team that you need to watch for. Nebraska. You think Nebraska, you always think about football. You always think about Tom Osborne and that legendary tradition of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, all those national championships they won in like the 70s and 80s and 90s. One of the toughest teams out there. They've never won an NCAA tournament game in the hoops. They've never won an NCAA basketball tournament game. I think that changes here. I definitely see them coming out of that first round game. If they run into Vandy, I don't like their chances. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like their chances. On paper, you would think North Carolina is the favorite, but the thing is, they've got injury concerns. And VCU has won 16 of their last 17 games. And they won the A10 tournament. So I think Carolina's in trouble. I really do. It's not as cut and dry as it used to be. One of their star players suffered a debilitating injury that cost him his season. So Carolina's in trouble. That is the last. If you're a North Carolina fan, VCU is the last team you wanted to see. I'll tell you that right now. Illinois, out of the Big Ten, We all know our good buddy Matt Ward. He's going to be rooting for them. But I mean, they are the favorite here. But Pennsylvania, watch out for Pennsylvania, especially TJ Power. What he did in that championship game against Yale this afternoon, including that amazing 3-pointer that he hit with seconds to go to force that game to overtime. So watch out for Pennsylvania. Illinois, that's not as easy as it looks for Illinois, even though I still think Illinois could win. So St. Mary's, Texas A&M, that could go either way, but it doesn't matter. Whoever comes out of that game, I like Houston to come out of that anyway. Florida and Houston, they're on a collision course. We could end up seeing a national championship game rematch in the regional final. This time it's for the right to go to the Final Four. And they gave us a very entertaining championship game last year that went all the way down to the wire. And Houston, of course, that's the alma mater of the one-time voice of March Madness. Of course, my man Jim Nance, of course. Jim Nance, a Houston graduate. I mean, I wanted Houston to win last year so badly for him because you know how much he means to me. But we'll see what happens. I mean, they're poised for another run, whether you like them or not. And I know somebody on this panel who does not like Houston, but we'll see how that plays out. But Florida and Houston are the teams to watch for. But if any teams could spoil that, Vanderbilt, that's a team to watch. VCU is a team to watch. Illinois is a team to watch. Pennsylvania, even a team to watch. But for me, I think Florida and Houston are on a collision course. So that's all I can say. Those are my thoughts. We'll get into our formal picks in just a little bit. But first, MF, let's get your thoughts on the South region. How's that look to you?
I think it's between Florida and Houston. I think that's the breakdown that I would come out on it. But if you really look at it, if Houston makes the regional final, they're playing in their own backyard. That is such a think about that. Houston will literally play in their own backyard if they make the regional final. If they make the regionals, how unfair is that? You're not the number one seed, and yet you get rewarded by playing in your own backyard? Like, what? I mean, I got nothing more to say about that, but I do believe it'll be Houston and Florida at the end. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say Florida and Houston are definitely on a collision course to see who goes to the Final Four out of that. I mean, yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, yeah, I mean, as far as some potential upsets, I mean, I could see maybe VCU pulling off the upset of North Carolina. I mean, I could definitely see that happening. Is any other potential upsets? I mean, that's the only one I could think of. But yeah, Houston. I mean, maybe getting a home game. I'll tell you what. If you're Florida, you're probably upset about this and thinking man, if we gotta face Houston, we gotta go to their home. Yeah, I'll tell you, if that's the case, then my money is on Houston to win that. So, and to come out of that region, and maybe to get a little payback from last year. So yeah. So there's really nothing more to say. So yeah, that's pretty much our breakdown when it comes to each region of the bracket. So Florio, it is yours.
Okay. We're gonna do a reset here, and we're now going to get into the formalities here. Started off with, what I think we probably should do is probably tell us who we think is going to end up going to the Final Four. So
I was just going to say, I think we should just see who's going to go to the Final Four, and then who's going to cut down the nets on April 6th.
Okay, so
Yeah, we don't need to go. We don't need to go round by round. Let's just get our final four picks and then go.
okay, final four picks. Okay, so
Yeah, because we did. If we go
oh yeah, it will be
every,
here a while. Yeah, you're
we
right.
be here a long, long
Yeah,
night.
that's very true. Very true. Okay, so let's get to who we believe will who will be in the final four and who we feel will end up ultimately cutting down the nets in Indianapolis, Indiana on Monday night, April the 6th. And I can't think of anybody better to start this off than the voice of March Madness, good old MF Michael Fletcher. So, MF, who do you got going to the Final Four and who do you got cutting down the nets?
All right, we're gonna start in because we're gonna do it like we did it the whole way through. Coming out of the East, I got Duke winning the bracket. I got them knocking off UConn in the regional final. We'll do it like that. In the West, I have Arizona winning over Gonzaga. I actually have Gonzaga knocking Purdue out in the Sweet 16. But then they get knocked out in the Elite Eight. Then in the and then in the Midwest, I have Michigan winning. I got them knocking Virginia off in the regional final, and I do believe that they'll get there. So Michigan will be my third, and the fourth, which is the South. Believe it or not, I got Houston knocking off Florida. Like I said, the home turf is the reason why I got Houston going over, which gives us a final four of Duke, Houston, Arizona, and Michigan. Arizona knocks Michigan off. Duke knocks Houston out. Duke and Arizona, the national championship. Duke wins the national championship. They were the best team going into the tournament. These were the two best, I believe, going into the final. And I believe Duke will find a way. They'll get the job done. And oh, by the way, I'll give you a final score 87-82. Duke captures the national championship and wins in Indianapolis. That's my pick. And Michael Bullock, it is yours.
All right, yeah, and yeah, as far as who's going to come out of the East, I got to go with the Duke Blue Devils, and how I think they're going to do it. I'm with Fletch on this one. I think they're going to beat the UConn Huskies to get to the Final Four. Now, as far as the West goes, I mean, yeah, I got to go with Arizona basically coming out of that, and I see them going through Gonzaga. Yeah, the Midwest. I mean, it's Michigan. Yeah, and then of course for the South, I got to go with the Houston over Florida, and Houston going to the Final Four. So, and I'm also with Fletch. I mean, as far as who I got playing for the national championship, I got Duke in Arizona, and then who cuts down the nets on Monday night, April the 6th? It will be the Dukies. The Duke Blue Devils will cut down the nets and win the national championship. It's yours, Florio.
All right. Starting in the East region, I'm going to make it 3 for 3. I got Duke coming out of it, and I also have Duke defeating UConn in the regional final. In the West bracket, I also have Arizona coming out of it. However, I have Arizona beating Purdue to win that bracket. But I wouldn't be surprised if Gonzaga gets there either because of their history. But after what I've seen from Purdue as of late, and especially today, I think Purdue could easily get to the regional final. Heck, they could get to the Final Four easily too. But Arizona, they run into Zona. I can't see them beating Zona. So Arizona comes out of the West. In the Midwest, yes, it is the Michigan Wolverines, and I also have them defeating Virginia in the regional final. And then in the South, yes, I do agree with it as well. Houston over Florida. I initially thought about Florida going over, but MF made the great point. The game will be in Houston. It's practically a home game for Houston. You got to go with Houston in that regard. So Houston goes to the Final Four yet again. So I have the same Final Four. I've got Duke versus Houston on one side, Arizona versus Michigan on the other side. I have Duke getting their payback from Houston after Houston stole that game from them last year. And I have Arizona knocking off Michigan. I mean, that could go either way, but I think Zona will just barely pull that one out. And then I also have Duke and Arizona. If it comes down to that, it would be a rematch of the national championship game of 2001, a quarter century ago,
Yep.
at the old Metrodome in Minneapolis. Duke won the championship that night, and if it happens again, I think history repeats itself. There's just something about those Boozer twins. Those Boozer twins are scary. Cameron Boozer, in the eyes of many, will be the odds-on favorite for the most prestigious award. That's the Wooden Award for the National Player of the Year. Do not be surprised if he ends up getting that. Twin brother Caden, just like their daddy Carlos Boozer. I mean, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And if they get those couple of injured guys back, there's going to be no stopping them. So I'll
Caleb
make it unanimous.
Foster, and then there was one other player, but mainly if they get Caleb Foster back, and he could be back by that second weekend. They're saying that he could be back by the regionals. And if he is back, that might be the reason why I think a lot of people's got Duke winning the national championship.
Absolutely. So I will make it unanimous. I, too, have the Duke Blue Devils winning the national championship, which would be their first since 2015. So give me the Dukies to win it all. And that will put the bow on this 2026 TXN Sports World Selection Sunday special. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, we're hopeful that we did it justice to the man who made this so famous for so many years, a man whose memory we honor. We started the tradition a year ago, and we're going to continue it until we can't do it anymore. The late, great Greg Gumbel. It's not the same without him, and I'm hopeful that that we did it justice here tonight for him. So that puts the bow on this. And one other announcement, and that is I am bringing back our TXN Sports World Bracket Manager over on CBSSports.com. So if you're interested in joining, check it out, and we'll see who comes out of that. So I won it all last year, and who knows, maybe I'll do it again this year. You never know, but we'll see. So TXN Sports World, Bracket Manager, CBSSports.com for all the information. Go over there and check it all out. I've already surrendered my bracket, so I'm sure MF and Bullock will have theirs up and running soon enough. And may the best man win. That's all I can say. So that'll put the bow on this. We'll be back with you again, I believe, on Tuesday night or maybe tomorrow night. I don't know. We'll have to.
It's actually tomorrow night because remember.
Oh yeah, what MF said. Yes, that's right. So tomorrow night, following Raw, around 10:30 or so, we will have a special Monday night edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, and we're going to have TNA Impact. We're going to have Friday Night SmackDown. NMF will cover the Rey to Reyes event. Tuesday night, Ridiculously Raw, right back here on the Tone 25. 10:30 as well. Monday Night Raw and NXT, and then we'll take it from there. So that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Monday night edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, this is Anthony Florio here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and always and forever our First Lady, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune Forest style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Monday, and until tomorrow night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching our 2026 TXN Sports World Selection Sunday special right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye. Good luck with your brackets, and enjoy the madness, everyone.
Let the madness begin.
Good night.